Hello everyone, welcome to Founders Backyard. Here's your host, Tanish Jaiswal. Just grab a cup of coffee or drink and enjoy the conversation. Here we go deep dive into the heart of our guest and sift out all the pearls of wisdom that will help them to reach peak in their journey. Enjoy the conversation. Hello Sanjay Sehgal sir, welcome to Founders Backyard. Quick introduction about Sanjay Sehgal sir. He's a Forbes Official Member, Business Council, Venture and Angel Investor, Philanthropist, Chairman and CEO of MSys Group, MSys Technologies since 2007. CEO, Keynote Speaker, Clogeny, honored with numerous awards, Most Innovative Digital Transformation CEO in 2019, TIE Atlanta Top Entrepreneur 2018, invited to speak at Web 2.0 Summit Leadership in 2018, acquired companies like Clogeny, Digital Futera, and Mobinix. He is also an angel investor, advisor, and board member in various technology startups in AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and blockchain technologies. How are you feeling, Bhaiya?
I'm good.
So, share me more about Forbes Official Member, your business council over there, how things works.
Tanish, I just, this all has happened, I would say, a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
The way it works is that you do have to apply to become a member and they accept you.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they accept you, you go through the process with them. There are some conversations they have with you. If they find you could be a good contributor. I think my understanding of this so far is that it is for various business owners to share among themselves the best practices that they have learned. Right? So I had shared couple of things already with them about how to take care of employees and all that, and I think they published that already. And I think I am looking forward to. It's more about sharing, sharing and caring, or sharing about caring, right?
Yeah.
How to take care of your clients, how to take care of your customer, how to take care of, most importantly, how to take care of yourself
That's
while
amazing.
you're going through all this. I am a biggest proponent of that.
That's amazing.
Right?
And I want to be in Forbes 30 on the 30 list. So how to achieve that and how to apply or something? What's the process?
Well, first you have to be successful to be able to, right?
Yeah.
I personally don't know. I was never, perhaps I could make it to 460 under 60, not 30 under 30. So I think my understanding would be, my guess would be that it is similar process that you apply and you have to submit your credentials, and I'm sure thousands of people are applying, and then based on that they will select the top 30, right? But I think for anybody to be to be considered for that, they should have achieved some level of success in their life, right? Whether it's an entrepreneur, it's a social work, or is it something, right?
Okay.
So it is mostly someone who has created an impact, business or otherwise, right?
That's nice. So, how to scale your startup, or if someone is starting, how to scale a startup from 0 to 10?
Then what?
10, for example, 0 to 10x, something like
Is it 10x of 0 is 0?
that. 0 to 10x.
So like I was saying, between 0 to 10, that's perhaps what because 10x of 0 is also 0, right?
So basically, usually in starting, 90% of the startup
10
fail.
crore, let's say, or 10 million. I mean, look at it like that, right? It has to be in terms of some revenue, right? Or in terms of some kind of shipment or some kind of product sale, right? So I think that perhaps is the toughest part in any startup's journey. Not to say that going from 10 to 100 crore or million is any easier, but that's a different skill. Right? 0 to 10 million or 10 crore, that is a certain kind of skill that one needs to have, because your product, it means when you're starting from zero, when you start the company, your product is not proven,
Mhm.
and you may not even know yourself about the product, what product you want to
Mhm.
build. You may have some idea, okay, I want to build this product, but just because you have this idea doesn't mean anything. Customer should be there to buy
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
I have, I mean, I am a proponent of, there's a simple formula I always say about startups, especially venture funded startups,
Mhm.
which fund startups which are looking to raise money from either venture funds or from angel investors and all that. What problem are you solving,
Mhm.
right? And how big of a problem that is. That
Mhm.
is actually really number one. You should be able to articulate what problem you're solving for the client. Is
Mhm.
the problem is that problem large enough
Mhm.
that to have a large market?
Mhm.
Let's say I may be doing a social network for all the people who are podcasters. Let's say
Mhm.
that's a
Yeah.
small market,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a small market, right? It's a social network. How I'm going to make money out of that, I don't know, right? I mean, all these things.
Yeah.
So it should be large enough market,
Mhm.
right? And problem should be large enough that nobody else is able to do it,
Mhm.
right? And then it should be, why are you the most suitable person to do this?
Mhm.
And why now? I mean, ideas are coming all the time,
Mhm.
but there is a timing for every idea,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now going back to your question of 0 to 10 crore or 10 million,
Or 10 billion probably.
10 billion, 10 million, I think before billion is a million,
Uh-huh,
right?
uh-huh.
Meaning, or even 100,000, we even
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
How are you going to get the first 10 customers, let's say?
Yeah, yeah.
How are you going to get the first 10 customers? I think you have to, based on the product that you're building, depends on the product,
Mhm.
you have to figure out who will have the problem that you're trying to solve,
Mhm.
right? And if based on that, you go out in the market and start testing. In fact, I always suggest entrepreneurs do that even before product is ready. You need to have a customer, some reference point from customers before you get around to building the product, right? I mean, let's say you're building a new type of idli shop, right? I mean, you need to test your, I mean, to see whether people are looking for idli. I mean, if you do that in Delhi, I grew up in Delhi, you may not find much market.
Yeah.
You may find it for parathas, but may not find it for, where are you from, Tanishq?
I'm from Allahabad, but right now based in Delhi.
So, okay. Well, I mean, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, right? So I think based on, but if you are in RK Puram area of Delhi, and you may be able to sell idlis, right?
Yeah.
Or if you are in kind of North Delhi or vice versa. I mean, the idea is you need to first test your customers
Yeah.
even before you build the product. Even before you build the shop or before you build an enterprise product. I mean, before iPod is built, I mean, the market was tested. The market
research
is looking
basically.
for a product like that, right? Or not. Now, I mean, when Flipkart did their first product, I mean, their e-commerce site, I mean, they did test whether people will be, I mean, of course, the timing was there because the world over people were using e-commerce, but still, we had to test it in India and what features people will be looking for.
Yeah.
That is essential, right? So the first 0 to 10, when you say 10 customers, 10 crore, 10 million, all that requires you to be very diligent about looking at your market, looking at your customer. They say, know thy customer. You need to know your customer, what is he looking for, right? And whether your product will suit the need. And is what he's looking for, is that problem is like a headache. We say there are startups which do, their product is good, but their product is more like a, vitamin, right? And it's a vitamin or is an aspirin, your solution?
Yeah.
Do they have pain that they need to have aspirin or Dolo?
Or
right?
just add
Or
on.
it's a vitamin, juice pee liya to pee liya, nahi to chalega. Chalega nahi bhi piya to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, share in regards to investment and funding. So basically, there are two kind of investors: right investor and strategic investor. So, for example, if you are looking to start a company in tech, you will looking for tech investor, and sometimes people are just looking for money. And so, what is the right approach to starting, or maybe like looking for investors?
So I think whenever any entrepreneur is beginning their journey, my suggestion would be always the first round or first money in could very well be from friends and family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because provided you are good at what you are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, your friends and family members perhaps will know you better than anybody
Yeah.
else,
Mm-hmm.
and they could trust you more easily than an external guy.
Mm-hmm.
External guy will look for a lot of other. I mean, these days there was a time when I started companies, 20 years ago. People, I mean, of course, my credibility was that I had worked for a company for 10 years and I managed the sales and marketing and grew that company and sold that company.
Nice.
So there's a credibility was already there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, in today's market, today's generation,
Mm-hmm.
where most of the entrepreneurs, their average age is 23 or 22.
Yeah.
So then it is different. I mean, you don't have credibility, right? I mean, what are you going to tell the investors? So investors are in that case looking for whether you have already gotten some customers excited. Now to get to that stage, now that goes back to your previous question.
Yeah, yeah.
You need some money to build the product, some money to test it with some customers. Because institutional investors, we call them, the institutional investors like venture funds and all, right? They are institutional investors. They will come in only after you have done the MVP, minimum viable product, and you also have some clients, right, who can vouch for it. That is your credibility.
Yeah, initial traction basically.
Initial traction. So initial traction, if you have built, now for that, if you need money, you have to raise it through friends and family round. And that's a very common thing people do, right? They raise it through friends and family. And beyond that, they go for institutional investors having proven that. That will also tell you whether your product is going to be an aspirin or is a vitamin. It's a good must have or just nice to have. So that will help you to determine that, right?
So, and what are the growth hack techniques that entrepreneurs should adopt?
Growth hack techniques.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I can say much about growth hack techniques. I mean, we hear all around us these days about Byju's or all these other companies have grown so much, or people say, have they really grown? Are they really following the good model, business model and all that? I mean, I think if your product is good, I would say spend time with clients, know your customers' pain points, and make sure that your product is solving those pain points.
Yeah.
Rest will follow. I think there is every business is different. I don't think I am sitting here and I can tell you follow this growth hack. I mean, there is every business has a different growth hack. Right? There are growth hacks in the sense shortcuts are there. I mean, shortcuts meaning that, okay, a large company may not be able to do that. But here I find, I think in countries like India, even large companies are using growth hacks. Right?
Yeah.
And I think even people like companies like PhonePe and all, I think I was just reading one of these Paytm or PhonePe, one of these companies said they realized they had raised, let's say, 100 crore rupees and they wanted to spend 10-20% of that in hiring Salman Khan as a model. I mean, to me, that is a growth hack.
Yeah.
I mean, as a consumer, I will be pretty offended. Because the money that could have gone into actually developing the product, a good product, is going into feeding somebody who doesn't need to be fed.
Yeah.
Right? To me, that's the growth hack the guy used. But I think he grew because he got the attention of people.
Yeah.
The moment he did ads with Salman Khan, I mean, everybody knows about your product.
Yeah.
Right? So once people know about your product, of course, everybody's going to use it. Right? That to me is a growth hack. And well, you can follow that growth hack maybe.
And share something about team building, initial team building, co-founder, core members, and all.
See, I think I would suggest people if you go to my my YouTube channel with my name on it, and why I'm saying that is because it's a very tricky thing. If you really, I have shared, how to select a co-founder. The conflicts between the co-founder, how to do equity distribution between the co-founders and all that. It's a very vast subject, But team building and all in a startup, everybody is required to wear multiple hats. Your first few hires in any startup are very critical.
Yeah.
Right? Beyond co-founder. I will not cover the co-founder topic because that, as I said, is a is a podcast or several podcasts in itself. I have done 3, so I can have one podcast on each startup, right?
Yeah, we will definitely have in future.
But I think in general, I would say that first few employees that you hire in your startup, very, very critical, because they can make or break you.
Yeah.
You have limited amount of money, right? Let's say friends and family, right? I mean, sometimes I've invested, let's say 20 lakhs in somebody's company. He perhaps has gone around and, if I may say, impressed or fooled one of the two, 5 other friends or family members. So let's say he got 1 crore. Now imagine 1 or 2 crores you got, and in that you have to build your initial product. So initial employees that you get, or initial partners, right, that you get with you, they're in a way your partners, because they are also investing with you their time, right? You won't be able to pay them full salary, right? You will say, okay, I'll give you this much money, small amount of money, and rest is all in stock options or stock, and let's build this product together jointly with me. You join me, and let's say you go around doing that, right? And you go through that process, and then I think at that stage, team building happens by you sitting beside them long hours, right? And building the product, talking to clients, and things like that, or investors, right? Meaning I always took the role by the time I started, I was a business guy, so I always had a business role. I did have technology role, but not at sitting, the kind of coding or designing, but more around, the business side.
Development.
So at that time, but still we were always the technical team. I was always kind of sitting beside them to figure out what they are building, and whether what they're building I will be able to show it to customers or not. And meanwhile, I'll talk to customers, investors, and other people to tell them the progress, so team building there happens, if I may say so, over coffee. You have 10 cups of coffee during those days, and you have an office which smells bad, right? So I think that I still have good memories of all that. Or in somebody's basement, you're just doing the initial, right? I remember one of the startups, we were in one guy's basement till we actually got the first round of funding. And I think we just, every day we'll meet, and then we'll just sit in one car and go and meet somebody, go here, go there, and then come back, and then again start building things. And so these are all fun times.
A lovely experience. In this question only, how to gain traction?
Yeah, I think if you have to know your clients, you need to know the market first, rather more than the clients. If you are building a startup, then you know the answer to that question, right?
How to deal with situations like COVID and recession, and be recession ready?
See, for all entrepreneurs who are out there, there is a simple formula: the recession is the best time to start a company.
Nice.
If you look at historically, some of the best or most successful companies have been started in low times. Not COVID we faced for the first time, but some kind of recession or market recession was there when the company was started. Because one of the reasons is not many people dare to do that. People are just depressed, people are in a different mood, and people are scared at that time. So nobody dares to start. So few the daring ones start, right? They end up reaching success faster, sooner, right, than others. That's kind of one formula there. Second, at that time, you're able to get the resources at a very reasonable, I would say, by spending very reasonable amount of resources, you can build things because people are available. Like I remember in one of the companies we did during recession, and we could hire people easily. I mean, we were building the team of chip designers, and Otherwise, chip designers are very few, and we did it in Atlanta. In Atlanta, there was nobody there. People were in California, but market was down, so people didn't mind moving from California to Atlanta, which was unheard of.
Yeah.
Till that time, nobody would want to move to Atlanta or from California at least. So anyway, that's but I think there is no formula we can say that to make your startup recession-proof. It's all about meaning if you look at so many startups which are out there which have gone under. Every day I hear some startup or the other is going under now. Startup, when I say, these are companies with some revenue but still in the startup phase, still raising money, right? And major reason is they grew too fast.
Yeah.
Because the market was insane just before this time. Right after COVID, there was a splurge.
Yeah.
Right? Splurge. People valuations were high, money was available, people were just spending money, growing like crazy. That's what caused the great resignation. That's what caused the all these high attrition rate. They said Cognizant, there's a company people may have heard of, lost 1/3 of its employees in the last 1 year. I mean, this is unheard of, right? Now, where did those guys go? Some, of course, came out of the job market, but many joined some other company at 70% or 100% hike, right? So these are the kind of things that have been happening just right after COVID, before this recession or before this time of slowdown. We're still not officially under recession, right?
Yeah.
So it is best way to take care of such thing is don't pander to such behavior. Grow at your pace. Don't hire unless you need to. Some other startups where I felt, in fact, almost in every one I felt that I shouldn't have hired certain number of people. And whenever I had the feeling, I realized within 6 months we ended up laying off those people. I think most of even the startups which have raised money, most of those startups suffer because they hire too fast.
Oh.
Because it takes time for you to build attraction in the market, to prove your product in the market. It takes longer.
Yeah.
We all want, hey, product आया, लोग खरीदने लग गए, truck load जाने लग गया ऐसे. It doesn't happen like that. Movies में होता है ये.
Yeah.
Or if you see some, it takes time. These things do take time, and you raise money only when you need to. Yeah. I love that. In case some entrepreneurs watching this, I love that movie, Social Network.
Yeah, great movie.
And I think the guy, you clearly see there, the guy said he didn't want money till he has million users.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're talking about traction. If in fact the entire podcast you can cover in that movie. Yeah. Actually he wanted to build attraction. He wanted to build attraction first in his college, then among the circle of friends he has. That is, we're talking about Facebook, or was the Facebook, what ended up becoming the Facebook. And then some other colleges, and he had set of users in various colleges. Then till he had million users, he didn't want to take money. Yeah. And I wish the many founders listening to this can learn from this, because then you have proven your product. You have, in fact, through going through the process, he removed all the kinks of the product. The right feature set was there, so the moment somebody comes on Facebook, he stays on. Yeah. The stickiness was so high. Yeah. Right? And that's very essential.
Yeah, and he has also hired some psychologists so that they can read how our brain works and how to maintain retention rate and stuff like that.
No, but that's a process. I'm not going to go through the process. Yeah. Every company is different.
Yeah.
And in fact, here one thing I'm talking about is don't hire so fast. Yeah. You should hire when you need to. If your company doesn't need a psychologist, don't hire. I think it's important whether you will know what you need to hire or what you can hire. You need money, for everything. That I think it's I think similar to that Mark Zuckerberg. He did friends and family round initially, and he got to certain number of some angels invested in him. He didn't bring institutional investors till he had million users. A lot to be said about that.
Yeah. So, for example, in this situation, if you want to fire your co-founder, how to deal with that and how to do that?
Like in that movie, it happened. I mean, you can't just fire your co-founder. There has to be a process for that. And like I said, this all these founders dilemma I have covered in very detail. It's like in his case, it was prompted by his investors. Two co-founders starting a company.
Yeah.
In fact, I would advise all the co-founders out there who are about to start a company, make sure you're protected in your agreements. You shouldn't be fireable by another co-founder.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen like this. Because then, I mean, one guy fires another. Who's that guy? It could be you.
Yeah.
You start a company with somebody and he fires you. It shouldn't be like this.
Like Apple.
So many companies. And so many companies it happened like that. No, but I think we are talking about different stages. I'm talking about two guys getting together, starting a company. At that time, they have, I shouldn't say equal stake in terms of number of shares. I always strong proponent, they shouldn't have equal share. The one guy who has bigger value should have more share than the guy who has lesser value in the company. But still, this bigger guy shouldn't be able to fire this guy. Because कल को मुझे पसंद नहीं आया तू चला जा. ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. This guy has also left all his job and all that and joined this, no? The point you're talking about here is when in case of Facebook or Apple and all, the companies became mature. Then the business circumstances led to one founder firing the other founder. That was prompted mostly by the board.
Yeah.
Right? So the board said, well, this guy his value is pretty much nothing. He is sitting somewhere else. You are in California. Everything is in California. But this guy is sitting somewhere else. And he's not adding as much value. You are building all the product. Business thing, you can build the business team. Why do you need him? That's the kind of thing they said. And that led to, now, by the way, that guy still is a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
And he said it's not that because he had good contract to save himself. And that's why I say, because it could have been Mark Zuckerberg on the other side, right? What if they gotten the money in Boston from somebody, where this other guy was, right? So in general, when two people are getting together in good faith, this firing shouldn't even enter your mind at that time. You should be how we are going to build a successful company together. And you should have protection for each other. For both of you, there should be enough protection in the agreements that you sign with each other. I remember in one of the startups where I was one of the investors, but founding investors in that, I think, and there was even this we had this term where founder A could I forgot the name of the term, there was some specific name also. He could give an offer for, it was like some cowboy term.
Okay.
Like this guy can give a term or to give an offer to buy the shares of other founder. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if this guy doesn't want to sell, he has to buy this guy's shares.
Oh.
At same price or higher price. It sounds a bit cheesy, but I wanted to get out, and the term was like this, that this guy will kind of buy me out at this value. Meaning he gave me an offer. If I didn't like this, I would have given him a higher offer, and then it means he has to up the price. If this guy is going to stay with the company, wants it, you want to get out, it gives you also some out at that time. So in my case, it gave me an out. So I took some money, I sold my share, and I got out.
Yeah. Share me about your investment regarding in which sector you are mostly interested. I covered initially in in AI, in ML, and in blockchain. Apart from that, what all?
No, I think it depends. It's not that I'm actively looking for startups to invest in. I'm running a company that takes most of my time, and I'm heavily involved with various aspects of our NGO, that is Heartfulness Institute and Education Trust. I'm involved actively in their running. So for me, it's a if I recently invested in a startup which has a wellness app,
Nice.
And I think what I liked about that app is that the app is available in multiple languages. So it means its reach is not limited just to the cities. We assume that that everybody speaks English in this world, and that's it doesn't work like that. And that app is in Russian, that app is in Iranian, that app is in Chinese, that app is in Telugu, and I mean they
Nice.
have very ability to get into multiple languages, and they do have paid users in many languages.
That's nice. So, any parting notes for our listener? Word of wisdom or some kind of inspiration thing that they should look upon or maybe carry on.
Yeah, sure. They should. If you are on any kind of startup journey, instead of thinking about, I do talk about knowing your customers, knowing your other employees, knowing your investors, knowing your market, knowing your product. But most important is knowing yourself through all this. What you can do, what you cannot do. And there is that often startup founders, especially once they raise money, they get into the Steve Jobs syndrome, we used to call it. Everybody thinks they're Steve Jobs, right? There's a lot more you may not know than what you know. So it is very essential for you to realize this and be grounded. Though often in many podcasts I've talked about be bindas, be shameless, be brave. Of course, that is always there. I mean, otherwise you won't be able to build a startup. Unless you are, if you're shy, if you're timid and all that, you can't build a startup. Startup is for lion-hearted. And bindas. I mean, in our culture, growing up in India, I myself faced this, and nobody encourages you in the family to do these things, right? And in fact, everybody is saying, "Arey, ghar ko job le le, shadi kar le, bachcha kar le," type, right? That is the idea of settle ho ja life mein. Right? That is the idea of. I think for me, I think I always encourage people to be bindas, be bold, be that, but at the same time be grounded. I think it is. Everybody thinks that they are next Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or whatever Bansal. There are so many Bansals out there in India, right? But I think it's not. Not everybody is not that. And not everybody can be as successful as, let's say, the most successful company you may have heard of. I have, in my own case, I have not been as, I mean, I haven't had a Kohinoor diamond or a jackpot or anything. I believe in the strategy of string of pearls. Right?
That's
so, string of pearls is good enough. Right? Kohinoor is only for few. There's only one actually. Right?
So how do you get this core strength? Do you meditate or something? Can you share about that experience overall?
No, I think, I mean, that's, maybe we can cover it in the next podcast. That I think as I said, taking care of yourself. People say, how do you manage so many things? You do this, you do that. Well, I don't manage anything. I manage myself through all that. I will maybe do a separate podcast just on that topic. Right? How does one manage things? Which means here managing yourself while doing other things. Right? So maybe that could be the next podcast. Right?
It was lovely talking to you, Bhaiya. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tanishq.
For the lovely conversation.
Sure.